since my involvement in SAHUC back in 2004 onwards, you've seen a big migration, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with regards to technology and the enhancements and the improvements. If I remember back in the day, operators needed to have gone to the Muassasa, they needed to have gone to, various of the other sub-affiliates of the ministry, go and sign contracts, go and sign documentation for their pilgrims, etc. So they used to run what we call a gauntlet. And as things progressed, the electronic Hajj system known as the e-Hajj system came about. They could do that from the comfort of their homes or their offices here in South Africa. So all of that certainly evolved quite considerably as well. You also now have a situation where, funds for the pilgrims for services are transferred into bank accounts over there and then released accordingly on this e-Hajj system. Now further enhancements that are taking place is obviously the digitized process, where they're talking about Hajj smart cards, they're talking about, internet utilization and technology utilization to prevent overcrowding in certain areas, on the Mashair, in the Haram, for example, especially when you're coming from Arafat to Muzdalifah, Muzdalifah to Mina, then Mina to go and perform Tawaful Ifada. 2 years ago, sorry, not 2 years ago, in 2019 when we were there, we were fortunate enough to meet with some members from the Al University that were tasked with all of this information, where they were putting into place the whole process towards digitization, making sure that they can use technology, use smart apps, use the processes around it in order to ensure that, you don't have overcrowding, and the safety of the pilgrim is going to be of paramount importance. The well-being of the pilgrim is going to be of paramount importance, and how that is going to enhance, the experience that the pilgrim has going forward. And it all ties into what you've said in your interlude, that the 2030 vision is going to be the mindset change in terms of what they're trying to do. We've seen it in the last couple of years, on and off Umrah when it took place, where you had to do a registration of a vaccination certificate on an app called Tawakkalna. You also had to register your Umrah in the Haram, on Itmarna. So these are things that, have basically paved the way towards this whole digitization and what it's going to mean for the pilgrim and how enhancing it's going to become, inshallah.
Well, certainly, and obviously, COVID and the pandemic has given impetus to this age of digitization, because the last 2 years, the authorities and those that are responsible for these systems have had enough time, Shaheen, to basically think about this move. And it is clear, when we're talking about things like apps, and we're talking about the Hajj smart card, we're talking about digital wallet. And basically, this is the way people are operating at this point in time, whether we're doing it on an individual level, on a business level, and looking at an institution like Hajj, just extending digitization makes a lot of sense, because the entire world is deep into technology and digitization.
100% on that. And, you can't find yourself as an island, in this digital world, especially when we're coming into the world of, artificial intelligence and AI and the likes of those kinds of, facilities around us. As the world progresses, we were just sitting around a table the other day with some family members. And if you and I sit down together in Nayat, we can discuss, we can talk about our youth, we can talk about the things that we did in the streets, either playing Keniki or playing Blikkies, as they used to call it. But today's youth don't understand that. Today's youth are digitized in their own way, whether it's a 3-year-old, whether it's a 6-year-old, whether it's a 10-year-old, whether it's an 18-year-old or a 25-year-old. But at the end of the day, it is amazing from a point of view of the shift in generation and the shift in mindset. You also see that, displayed at this recent conference that took place in Jeddah over the last 3 days. There's AI that is actually utilized for people who have not gotten the opportunity to perform Hajj or Umrah, by utilizing technology and placing them in the Haram, placing them in front of the Black Stone, placing them in front of the Multazam, placing them on Arafah and on Mina. And it's just a phenomenal experience, uplifting from the point of view that you share in the experience of those people that are on the ground in that particular facility.
Yes, and just looking at some of these specific issues with regard to the smart system that we're talking about, just briefly about the Hajj smart card. Now, yeah, we know about smart cards, and also, I mean, just a simple thing like an ID card that we have in our possession that contains just so much information. And I'm sure this Hajj smart card, again, in terms of personal information, medical, all those type of things as well. So at the end of the day, whatever services relate to the Haji just on the smart card alone, just with the wealth of information that is available on the smart card, will go a long way in providing some much needed services, Shaheen.
Absolutely so. And, over the years, that's exactly what our technology in South Africa has basically led us towards working. When a person makes an application on our system, we used to ask for information like, is the person diabetic? Has the person got any chronic ailments? So that we can facilitate and make sure that we can accommodate that pilgrim at the time of, his or her needs in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And Alhamdulillah, it's worked quite well. In the past, as I say, the migration from the paper trail to the digitized trail has made phenomenal grounds. And Alhamdulillah, over the last 2 years or so, SAHUC has also been involved in a migration of our system where we have moved to a more digitized system that is going to help us, help the pilgrim, and help all the service providers that are part and parcel of this process to make it as efficient and as free flowing and as smooth as possible, inshallah. So as soon as our system is ready, we're obviously going to do a marketing drive on it to show people and to showcase the system, but it will be integrated into the whole process around the digitization in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, and another interesting development is this digital wallet that we are talking about, because we know in the past and in the good old days, we used to go for travelers' checks and used to cash dollars, and then also which dollar with which face, you would basically get more reals for $1 as well. So this obviously is another major change, Shane.
The mere fact that we're digitizing our currency to a great extent. I mean, let's forget crypto and all these blockchains and everything that go with it. We just talk about the transfer of funds. We've seen our banks in South Africa provide you with an electronic wallet or a card wallet where you could basically travel abroad and do what is necessary in terms of going to an ATM and withdrawing currency in that particular country. Alhamdulillah, the Saudis are working on this whole digitized process as well. So the pilgrim will have the option whether to carry their own card or whether to take a card from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and then do the necessary transfers accordingly, into the e-wallet. As soon as more information becomes available about that, we will be able to share that with the pilgrims. But over the years, SAHUC has been advocating people, not to take money with them, to take as little cash, with them in that regard, and make sure that you've got sufficient withdrawal capacity on your cards that you can, because FNB, ABSA, Standard Bank, Investec, those are the cards that actually, whether it's a MasterCard or a Visa, those are the cards that actually get utilized at the ATMs. And if you've got rands, it will obviously do the conversion. And, you sometimes get a much more favorable exchange rate direct from rands to reals on the system. So it saves the pilgrim money. It gives them a little bit of comfort. It gives them the peace of mind of security. You know what? I've got a bag. My bag is in a room with 4 or 6 people sharing. Alhamdulillah, I don't have to worry about 10 or 12,000 reals or $10,000 that is lying in a bag, in the room. Someone may be coming in, na'udhu billah, that a cleaner comes and, helps himself to something. So what we are saying is that prevention is better than cure. And we make sure, inshallah, that going forward, people understand the processes and the uses of these digitized wallets, these digitized cards, and what the purpose of it is going to be in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, and also I think moving to the system, Shane, this a smart pilgrimage system, it's not only about services on a personal level to the Hujjaj, whether we're talking of finance, we're talking about medical, but also at the same time we're talking about overall management of Hajj. And we know at some point in time when the numbers will start increasing, and when we're talking of overall management, we're talking of things like crowd control, for instance. And we know that there have been a number of simulation systems that the Hajj Ministry and the Saudis have in terms of making absolutely sure that Hajj is managed, and also at the same time looking at things like emergencies, emergency response systems in the event of any catastrophe or anything of that sort. So basically, it's about an entire system that needs to be managed.
Yes. Well, right now, if you look at the security system that the Saudi government has put into place over the Hajj period, we were privy enough some years back to go and visit the Jock Center, as they call it. And that Jock Center basically allows you to take a pilgrim and follow that pilgrim from Arafah. That pilgrim will be followed through Muzdalifah, through Mina, into Makkah, around the Tawaf, around the Safa Say, and back again. That is the type of technology and security that they have had over the years, and is only going to be improved upon, alhamdulillah, to make sure that the safety of the processes are in place. Over the last recent years, I think about 6 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, there was a serious stampede that took place in Mina. And unfortunately, a lot of people lost their lives. But inshallah, these kinds of things are going to be averted by utilization and by means of this digitized processes. So a pilgrim will have an app on his or her phone, and that pilgrim will be able to walk towards Mina and see that, this particular road that's going to take me to the Jamarat is now occupied and is actually at capacity. I must be guided to another route, and that app will basically guide you to another route. There's several routes that come from Muzdalifah towards Mina, and alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, every pilgrim will get his or her opportunity to fulfill their ibadat and the manasik accordingly.
Well, Shane, an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning and sharing what you have with us with regard to the smart pilgrimage system. We wish you well. Jazakallah, as always, for your time with us here on Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Inaya, to you and Salam Media. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
President of the South African Hajj and Umrah Council, SAHUC, Shaheen Essop, with us this morning. All you need to know about the smart pilgrimage system. This is a technical system, and we are in that digital age. So we are talking about advanced technical services that are being provided for the pilgrims, and the Hajj that we have known in the past many years ago is not going to be the same Hajj. Yes, obviously in terms of the rituals, in terms of what we need to do, but more importantly, when it comes to some of the other issues, things certainly have changed, and this is all part of the 2030 vision that many of us have been talking about. The time is just gone 8:40 a.m. We come back, we'll be joined by the chairperson of Etequini Secure, Imtiaz Sayed.